Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Steve. Steve. Yeah. Hey, Steve. Steve, be sure you're talking to the. Turn your mic on. Just be sure you're talking to your mic.
Loudspeaker turned on. He says he can't hear me. He said, don't be looking down at Steve, because he can't hear me. So I gotta start talking in the
Yeah,
mic, 'cause I look down at Steve.
And they tell me, so they tell me they can hear me. I said, that's exactly right.
Okay, 7 o'clock, let's go ahead and get started. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
Justice for all.
Okay, thank you. We do have a quorum present. Nathan is, he says he's got a virus he doesn't want to share with a cold, so he won't be here tonight.
Please, no.
But all the other planning commission members are here. We need to take a look at the agenda, see if anybody wants to make any changes or additions.
I
Anything?
move that the agenda be approved as submitted.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Quick review of the minutes, see if we need to make any changes or corrections.
Can I mention something?
Yes.
So Legan and I both tried to change it, and apparently it didn't save. But oh, sorry. Legan and I tried to fix it on the last sentence of the first paragraph about it being a joint planning commission meeting on August the 2nd. It was supposed to just say planning commission workshop. Just so you know that I knew that that was there.
Okay, so essentially all we need to do is
Yes.
cross that out.
Correct.
Okay. Any other question, change, or comment?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes with the change as submitted.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, we have actually only A through C cases tonight because case D has been tabled by the applicant temporarily. The first case is case number S-09-23-14. Mr. Marvin Jenkins and Mr. Andrew Gayhart have submitted a subdivision application to subdivide a 10.6 acre A1 agricultural zone parcel. The by right subdivision would create 2 new parcels and 1 residue parcel. The 2 new parcels would both contain 3.7 acres, and the 1 residue parcel would contain 3.2 acres. In June of 2023, the subject parcel subject to this subdivision request recorded a boundary line adjustment with an adjoining parcel identified on Madison County tax maps as 42-12A. This boundary line adjustment expanded tax map 42-12A and moved it to the east where it now also adjoins tax map 43-3. The subject 10.6 acre parcel is located on Leon Road, Route 631, and is identified on Madison County's tax maps as 42-12. An existing dwelling to be demolished is located on the parcel and has a postal address of 375 Leon Road, Culpeper, Virginia, 22701. And as always, we will have comments and answer questions from Legan. If the applicant wants to address the board, then we'll be doing that. And following that, there will be time for public comment as we go through each case. Okay, Ligon, do you have a?
Yeah. So since there were questions last time about the boundary line adjustment, and I think we sort of came to a agreement that we don't really have any, the county, when it comes to boundary line adjustments, and other communities kind of the same way, we don't have any set necessarily codes regarding boundary line adjustments. The typical boundary line adjustment, if you look and see what my mouse is, generally move, and I'd say, 90% of them, you just kind of move a line like this line where you have to go, over a few feet that way. There are ones on occasion that you do, like in this one, did kind of flipped. If you look at the GIS, because this hasn't been recorded, this was just sort of flipped over here, improved, expanded. As I've said before, as the Plan Commission looks at this, I would encourage you not to make too many radical changes, because I do believe, I estimate probably about, I don't know, maybe 25% of the lots in the county are what I call grandfathered, so they were established before we had a subdivision ordinance. The only issue, and I think I've kind of made my thoughts known, is that if you sort of always require them to bring them up to some of these grandfathered lots up to, so maybe in this case he expanded. Previously, he expanded it by an acre, made it 2 acres. I think that's an improvement. I'm afraid that if you make it too burdensome, people say, okay, I'm just going to leave it like it is, and I won't make an attempt maybe move it in a better spot, expand it. But that's a conversation that we can surely have, as we move forward with that. But for expedience purposes, the applicant just went in. He had the space. He has over 12 acres between the 12A and Lot 12. So he just moved it where everyone has 3 acres, and hopefully everyone was happy. The only thing from the ad that's a little different is that we would have a 3-acre lot, a 3.6-acre lot, and the residue would be 3 acres. So it's just slightly some adjustments from what's been advertised. It's a very modest change. We're still looking at, a boundary line adjustment. You had 2 lots before, now you have 4 lots. And all of them do, have the minimum acreage. So I think we're fine to move forward with this. Appreciate Mr. Jenkins, Mr. Gayhart, just saying, okay, we've got the acreage, it's not a problem. So they got their survey on it, and you can see that vacating that line there, and we'll move that. So that's all I have on that. If any questions for me, or?
Ligon, so just reading this at basically face value here, and I understand what you're trying to do here, but reading it at face value, we have on the diagram here, parcel 4, 1 acre, and then looks like if you read into it a little bit more, you've got 2 tax maps that are being used up here, 2 acres at 12A and 1 at 12. So is it 1 tax map or is it 2?
It's 2.
It's 2 tax maps making 1 lot.
Nope. So I don't understand. So as it stands right here, I don't know if this helps. If he hadn't moved it and expanded this one, 12A, he can get 3 lots out of this one. He has enough because this is a 10 acre plus acre parcel.
Yeah, I understand
Right,
I
okay.
understand all that, but I'm reading
Yeah.
the survey. I'm
I
reading the
think
survey, what was
Mike's
given
point
to
is
us.
we can't approve a 1-acre parcel, which is what
You've
this
got
says.
parcel 4, 1 acre, and if you read the other stuff, it says 4212A is 2 acres plus 1 acre of parcel 4.
No, I think that is the 1 acres that has been bought into. Is that correct, Mark?
The 1 acre was existing. It's been there since 1940. It's been charged taxes. There's a 1 acre building on it since 1940.
That's,
They built it, made it 2 acres, and did a line adjustment, made it 2 acres. But they said they'd like for it to be conforming. So we made the 2 acre lot a 3 acre.
Right,
But it's still a lot line adjustment.
right.
That's all it is. We took a
Oh.
1 acre lot, we made it 2. You said you wanted to conform it, we made it 3 acres.
Well, then you've got 1 acre at 2 acres. I mean, 1 lot at 1 acre here.
All right.
No, yeah, I think you're just,
I think this is a kind of a misunderstanding. I certainly appreciate the fact that you were willing to try and make this a conforming
It's
lot.
just written wrong, that's all I'm trying
yeah,
to say.
we
It's okay
can't-
what you're trying to do, but it's just written
Right.
wrong.
We can't have that 1 acre parcel 4. There's nothing that says that you can't say you're gonna do the boundary adjustment.
It's not there, no more. You see what I'm saying? It's not there on the plot.
Well, the,
It became the 2 acre lot.
are you just saying
Right,
there
right.
might be a typo here instead of 1 acre? Is that what?
no. I think, well, anyway, I don't wanna try and figure out what you were thinking, but I understand that you wanna end up with the 3 acre lot there, which is great.
But
That's,
he could've took that land and put it with the other land, and that 1 acre lot would've been grandfathered, and he still could've used it.
yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the calculations right here, look at the calculations, it's showing 2 acres,
But he moved it.
and then he added the 1 acre, and this is just showing that 1 acre. So
Yeah,
it's,
but-
it's clearly showing that it's 3 acres adjusted.
We can't show it that way because it says it's parcel 4, 1 acre.
No, it's right here, it says 4 acres
Right here.
adjusted.
It's 3 acres adjusted here.
Yeah, it's 3 acres.
Here, that little bit.
All right, then that needs to, where it says parcel 4, 1 acre, that's,
Agreed.
for us to approve this, that's gonna have to be rewritten. We cannot approve a 1 acre parcel.
Is it gonna be a 12A?
if
Is
it's
there gonna be a
grandfathered.
12A?
No. He's showing,
This almost shows five lots.
yeah, he's got the boundary adjustment lot. They're still showing that, that's the 2 acres now. Then he's showing a new a number 4 lot, that's 1 acre, around it. That's what this map is showing, that's what it specifically
It's
says.
showing 1 through 4 and then a 12A.
I mean, I
Yeah,
certainly appreciate the effort.
I mean, I would just focus on this right here. This is obviously not 1 acre. This is, you can see the proportional. I think what the surveyor was trying to do is just show this 1 acre has been adjusted. He's vacated this line. That's what that hatched mark means. And then you look at you know, you look right here, it's adjusted to 3 acres. And the commissioner is going to show it as 3 acres. I mean, this will be on record. I mean, I guess he could have put in just parcel 4, 3 acres, but I also understand what the surveyor is trying to show here.
So is that gonna make it 12A though? You gotta get your tax map right too.
Yeah,
Where the lot line adjustment is, portion of that is the 1 acre.
Right.
Parcel 4 is the portion of the 1 acre. That
Yeah.
lot 4.
It-
It is 4 lots there.
right.
And that one particular lot, right here, that's, portion of that was the 1 acre. That's all he's saying. He's not saying we're getting 4 cuts. He's just saying we get 2 cuts of the residue and a lot line adjustment.
Okay, that's the point. I think we need to say there is no parcel 4, there's been a new boundary adjustment.
There is 4 parcels. There
Yeah,
is
but
4 parcels.
the boundary adjustment was, what was it? 4,
Documented on the plat that it's adjusted.
It says right on there that it was adjusted, parcel 4 was adjusted from lot, the 1 acre lot.
right, to a 2 acre lot.
Survey, he has to put some kind of
He has to show
documentation.
where it came from, where that 1 acre come from.
Right,
Okay.
and then you have a new boundary adjustment, is that correct? Okay,
Because you wanted it to convey, to be 3 acres.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
All right. Is there any way we can make it say that?
It does say it on the plat. It says it's been adjusted, including the 1 acre parcel 4 and the 2 acre 42-12A to
This little
become
note.
3 acres adjusted.
This little note,
Right there.
Okay,
that little note.
yeah, the fine
That's
print,
it.
right, I understand that.
It's not really fine print.
Well, yeah, it's, that way, that I'm fine with. That's the boundary adjustment, a new boundary adjustment. That's been approved, I assume. Is that correct?
Well, this survey is showing everything on one survey. So it's showing the boundary line adjustment and the new parcel. So you can see here, it says,
All right, this parcel 4 then is actually 42-12A.
I mean, I'm sure that's what Brian the commissioner will call it. Yeah. mhm.
It should be the same tax map number as the 1 acre lot was.
Right, which is the 42-12A. That's what you want that to be. That's not a parcel 4 from 42-12.
That's right.
That's what we're trying to say.
That's what I was trying to get at.
The way this is drawn, the way it's written, it's showing parcel 42-12 with 4 subdivision, 4 lots, one of which is 1 acre. And what you,
Part of that land is a portion
yeah,
of
what,
that.
and see,
It's no longer
that's
1
not,
acre.
what you're saying is what's correct, I think. What this is showing is what's bothering us, because it's not correct.
So let me clarify what you're asking to have done. You would like a new survey done, just making a,
Well, I think all you need to do is probably remove that parcel 4 statement. Because it's not really a parcel 4, it's a new part of 42-12A. Does that sound
42 is going to have 3 lots, and 12A is going to have 1.
one, with a new boundary? Okay.
Just make,
Now,
show it.
if this would reflect that,
That way you'll still have 2 tax maps.
yeah.
I mean, you will have 2 X maps. I mean, it
Yeah.
will, this will be 12,
This-
be 12A.
The plat has to reflect that.
Right.
Yeah, the plat has to reflect that. We can't,
I-
the
I-
way this is drawn, I don't think we can pass it.
I'm,
Because it's a non,
He's not a non-conforming lot.
parcel 4 is.
now,
We-
we have been to the county attorney, and we've had this survey redone to meet
Uh.
the request of the county,
Yeah,
when we really, by rights, didn't need to.
I'm not arguing with that at all. In fact, I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is a lot of time and money that,
What I'm saying, if we can simply take out that sentence, parcel 4, 1 acre.
and then bring it back to the board in a month?
No,
I don't think
Steve,
it's necessary.
Yes,
can I ask the county attorney a
yeah.
question? Sir, if we choose to approve this with the statement and part of the recommendation for the approval, that this part gets removed from there and changed, is that, we okay to do that, sir?
Yeah, I think you're fine to do that, to recommended approval
Uh-huh,
with the
okay.
condition that parcel 4 be renamed to whatever.
As
With the
part
sub,
of tax map 42 yes.
Correct.
right,
Just move that one sentence, no problem.
Yep,
yeah.
excellent. Okay.
Thanks, Anna.
Any other, any other question for Ligon? All right. Nobody? Does the applicant want to say anything further, or we're okay?
That's easily
Okay.
taken care of, and
Excellent.
no problem.
Yeah, and that solves our question about it, I think. Yes. Yes.
For the record, we have clerks that will need to record the minutes, and I know the paper's asking, just name and call for the record, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, would you, maybe come to the mic so we've got a record and just state your name.
For the record, our clerks do a fantastic job, but we have to be able to record.
Marvin Jenkins.
Thank you.
Nikki Jenkins.
Okay. All right. All right, any other? Yeah, you already got it, okay. In that case, any public comment on this? Any other public? Okay, thank you. And Pete, you understand what we want to say now?
Yes, sir. I make a motion to case number S-09-23-14 with the changes to where it clearly states that that is a 3-acre lot and not parcel 4, is recommended to the Board of Supervisors for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, next case is case number RZ-09-23-15. Building Together LLC, William Camden and Jerry Ward, has applied to rezone a 2.2 acre parcel from A1 agricultural to B1 general business. The subject parcel contains 2 existing structures, a single-family dwelling containing roughly 1,584 square feet of interior floor area, and a 2-story commercial structure containing roughly 1,936 square feet of interior floor area. Historically, the subject 2.2 acre parcel structures have been utilized for business/commercial purposes, and if rezoned, the applicants intend to utilize the existing structures for by right business uses, specifically retail and/or professional offices. The subject property contains two postal address points, 6279 and 6267 South Seminole Trail, Rochelle, Virginia, and the parcel is identified on Madison County's tax maps as 55-35B. All right, Ligon, anything to add there?
We did, the proper letter that was in your packet, we have that signed, so I have that right here. We went over it today with the applicants, so that is signed and sealed. I guess the only really change from last time, well, first of all, this, as you can see from this kind of corridor here, when you come into the county, there's several businesses, and, this particular site has been a business and an antique store. The applicants are looking maybe at, most likely retail or office space. The only, change to the proffer was recommended by the Planning Commission, as Pete had brought this up, that the number of employees would be reflected by the septic with the soil evaluator. I believe they're on the schedule. Our soil people are really backed up, so we'll get that number. I don't think they're looking for more than probably a few people working on the site at any given time, so whatever that number may be, I would imagine the septic, from the evaluation at least, having it pumped, looks like it's in pretty good shape. I think they're pretty good soils down there. The only other thing that was added was they would have an engineer design the entrance and get that to VDOT. Being on 29, I think we're a little more sensitive to some of these entrances. One thing that could be done, and we talked about today, I think would probably satisfy VDOT and get the engineer to look at this, is probably simply moving this entrance down here where where you could get people into the turn lanes since the property extends. So I think that would probably be the easiest way, at least costly way, instead of extending this drive, is just to close this and move an entrance down here. And you have good parking area right here, could bring people up right here. So I think that's something that's probably, we'll work with an engineer and see if that's an adequate solution, but I think that's probably the best of both worlds, since you have a pretty good amount of turn lane that goes along their property. Otherwise, I think the proffers are adequate, and I think it's, as again, it was a business location for many years, and I think the applicants are diligent in trying to offer some retail space of their 29 and also potential some office space. So, any questions for me?
Any question or comment, Ms. Ligon? Pretty straightforward, already been discussed. Is the applicant here? Would you like to address the Planning Commission, or? All right, well, does anyone on the Planning Commission have a question for the applicant? No questions? All right, thank you, sir. Do we have any public comment on this case? Okay. Yes, sir.
Ask one question for that. Verify the conditions of the property here. These all are voluntary to do these things as part of the zoning. Okay. Thank you.
Would you like, as we make a motion, would it be a good idea for us to state that in the motion, that the proffers are voluntary?
I think so.
Okay. Okay.
Verified.
Excellent. Any discussion or comments? Okay, if not, can I hear a motion on this case?
Yes, I recommend that case number RZ-09-23-15 be recommended for approval to the board.
Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. All right, case number RZ-09-23-16. probably going to mispronounce your name, sorry. Mr. Angel Vieira has applied to rezone a roughly 1.4 acre portion of a 4.4 acre parcel from A1 agriculture to B1 business with conditions. The applicant is seeking to operate an automotive repair shop from an existing garage structure located on the parcel. Historically, the parcel's existing garage structure has been utilized as an automotive repair shop. The subject parcel contains 2 postal address points, with the existing garage addressed as 3108 Shelby Road and the parcel's existing single-family dwelling addressed as 3090 Shelby Road. The subject parcel is also identified on Madison County tax maps as 55-16. Ligon, anything to add?
Well, this has been a long process, but I appreciate everyone's patience. I particularly appreciate the applicants. They have been very kind and nice, and you know, this was, Taylor's Garage was there for many years, and I think some people, it seems to me, have been there for maybe 50 years, and, you know, whether or not it stopped operating or not, I really don't know, but the applicant has worked to, you know, I think all the questions that we've had. You know, we've tried several different solutions to this, and this seems to be the one that everyone wanted to go forward with. So we've tried our best to make it work. You know, again, this has been a garage for a long time. So the things that they will do is Mr. Hogg has been out there, the soil scientists, and they have parked an area, I believe, right in here, so they can gravity flow it. They've already have an engineering report that Jamie has. There's a few things that need to be done to the structure in order to bring it compliant. Biggest thing is the bathroom. I think there were some questions on the encroachment. I thought Commissioner Cowan had a pretty good comment last time that even though they're just at that 50 feet and, you know, that we had
That's right.
talked about as far as the separation, I mean, literally with not a foot to spare, but it would be encroaching on itself. I think that's kind of a, you know, whoever owns this or buys it, I don't think that's going to happen anytime, but, you know, it is where it is. I mean, so it's not like it's any surprise. This structure does not exist. This is a vacant lot. I think this was, GIS sometimes will put the structures, you know, move it, but this structure is not there. The big thing is, you know, made it stressed to the applicants that really the real concern has been just to clean the lot up and we not, you know, become a kind of a junkyard. And they have worked, and if you've been by there recently, I went by today, and very happy with, it looks very organized. They've moved a lot of the junk cars back out of the site, and they'll keep just the 10 out front, and it was very orderly. So thank you for that. That looks good. And one of the conditions that we came up with between last time was that the B1 parcel would not be separated. So they're not going to, you know, B1 is not a minimum lot size. In theory, you could separate it, but we talked about it, and Ms. Ramos was in agreement. No intent to separate that parcel, and so I think compared to where we were, we've got a lot that's been cleaned up. We have a building that's compliant to the building codes, or going to be compliant, and we have a septic tank and a bathroom. So after 50 years, Taylor's former garage will be compliant with all zoning and buildings permit in the near future. So.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ligon?
When did you start admonishing them that the site had to be cleaned up? How long has that gone on?
Well, probably good, you know, good 6 months, you know, just telling them that was really one of the biggest concerns. So, and that, you know, junk cars are, they tend to multiply. So that was probably the biggest concern that at least neighbors, and I did talk to Mr. Rice, he's one of their neighbors, and he was happy with it and had no objections. As long as it was, you know, an effort was made to clean it. I think going forward, you know, I mean, with these conditions, if there were to be more cars out there, we can, you know, we can start that process. And we have been to court over it, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. I think that it'll be kept up like we expect and we hope.
Ligon, on the same subject as the amount of cars. So it says no more than 10 customer vehicles. Now, it was stated kind of like at the last meeting at the workshop that he had approximately 11 of his own. So that counts up to right many vehicles on the lot.
Yeah, I just say vehicles on the lot. I mean, there's a couple of cars I might park at the house, but those one right there in that front, I mean, that's
On the side.
right.
Right.
So we're clearly understanding that once this is on B1, you can have 10 cars there. You can't say, well, I'm gonna take these 6 cars up to the house and park them, and I can have more cars there.
Yeah, I would, yeah, I think it's clear that just 10 on the site right there that are visible.
And the ones in the back don't count?
As long as they're fenced back there, there's an area back there, right?
Can you kind of point out where that would be there?
Do we care? No.
And you say a 6-foot,
Well, they have a
Visibility
little
going.
fence right here, but this is the area she's done some cleaning, that, like, that house is not there.
okay.
Just put some overflow, and there, I mean, put a fence there, and then you have the buffering with the trees, so it's really, you can't, I couldn't see it from the road.
And, yeah, that is uphill from the garage site, so it wouldn't interfere with any possibility of drain field and stuff.
I drove by yesterday, I don't know how in the world another car could get into that lot. And cleaned up, they must have done a miracle overnight. And, you know, that 6 months, that's really contemptuous of the neighbors, having to deal with that and drive by. I mean, you might have talked to one that didn't have a problem, but. So, Lincoln, do we have a county ordinance or whatever, if you have a piece of property zone A1, there's a limit of number of cars that you can park?
Five
House and neighbor.
inoperable vehicles.
I believe it's 5 inoperable, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of off the topic, roughly how far is this from 29, do you know?
I think it's under a mile.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
definitely under a mile.
Which does put it well within our 29 corridor distance that we normally look at.
Yeah. 3,494 feet, which is pretty accurate, so probably, it's less than a mile.
Less than a mile, okay. Any other questions for Lee?
Yeah, so aside from the amount of the vehicles, the main application for this is to rezone this to a B1. So, we've done several things in the past that we've turned down, or rather the board has, of rezoning in inappropriate areas. If you drive down from 29, I counted about 12, in fact, I looked up on the map, about 12 parcels there that are 1 acre and less on the same side of the road. Whether it's zoned A1 or R1 or R2 or 3, it's, in my opinion, it's residential. So now we're getting ready to rezone a B1 in the middle of all that. And that is, it's not just allowing someone to have a garage, it's we're rezoning a B1.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather have done it by special use permit, but, I mean, we've done it before.
But that wasn't-
In Leon, so this was, I mean, just remind you, it's been a garage for the better part of 50 years, so,
The welding shop.
I mean, it's been there. This is just a kind of a workaround to make it legal. They can't divide it off, so it's still kind of what was there for many years. So that's my feeling. At least now the building's up to code. You do have some conditions they have to follow. That wasn't the case
Did the
before.
porta-john get put there?
Is there a porta? Well, I think it's just used in the bath, in the main house.
Wasn't that
but
one
no.
of the conditions?
In the interim, yeah.
In the interim.
So this land, in the future, if somebody decided to, can be sold as a piece of B1.
Can't be divided off.
Can't be divided off. but
cannot.
The whole thing can be sold as a piece of B1,
I mean,
correct?
somebody could buy it and continue to run the garage. The whole parcel.
Or anything else that says B1?
No, I think the condition says that they have eliminated everything else as a possible use. If approved, the B1 shall be, so it's limited to a garage. I don't know why you would want to use anything else. And it also says that, they can't all of a sudden decide they want to make it, a gas station. So that's been eliminated. So it pretty much is narrowed down to a garage, like it's been used.
Has there been a survey on the B1 carve-out? Because I know that the tax maps, certainly the large disclaimer on those that they are not.
I mean, we didn't do a survey, but I mean, as far as the distance and the accuracy, I mean, if we'd have had this tools years ago, I mean, it's what I've done and went out and measured and used the measuring wheel and came back to the GIS. It's sort of like we did with the one up in Shelby. So we'll actually change the zoning map. I'll send it in tomorrow. In a couple days, it should update. I'm just trying to find that little piece. And Leon's like this right here. It'll just be carved out, and that's a single parcel as well. So
It's a very similar situation. All right, it sounds to me, Ligon, like the main question that we have, do we have an enforcement process for this 10-customer vehicle proffer?
sure. I mean, if it's approved like this, it just becomes part of the zoning. I mean, that would be enforcement. If you're violating the conditions of the proffers, then you're violating the zoning, and it would be the same thing. And send them a letter, call them, you have to go to court.
Okay. In your experience in other cases with junk cars, how effective is that? I think that's what the
I
question is
mean,
being asked. is how
most of the
effective
time,
is
it's
it?
pretty effective, most of the time. It just depends on, it depends on the person, but if someone's been doing it for, a couple decades, then you send them a letter, that, they're maybe not as easy, but, it's a civil fine. You can't go down and slap cuffs on somebody for having too many cars, but we can fine them. And be kind of a pain in the butt and go back and fine again, and it's not fun. I've only been to court once over it, and the person did clean it up. So I don't think that's going to be the situation here, and
And of course, on the positive side, it is a business. It's actually a business that probably is needed in the county. We do not have very many automotive repair shops. Most of them that were here have gone out of business, so.
I don't know, according to, I think we got a lot. We have a lot come in here.
Well,
But right,
not a lot of them that are actually operating as a
Right.
business. Some of them are kind of semi-private.
right. And I think some of them, because the rents in some of the larger places are very high, so it probably makes sense if you came out to an area of Madison where you have a little more space and maybe it doesn't cost as much to rent a facility.
Ligon, I apologize for not asking this earlier, but the last page of the packet is from VDOT about the entrance.
Yeah, I mean, they said, they just kind of sent us a pro forma letter, VDOT, and, I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, this is already wide enough to a commercial standard. I don't, there's really nothing for them to submit to VDOT. There's excellent sight distance. So, I mean, as far as them having to do any improvements, it's just one of those situations I did call John this afternoon, and he understands that it's really, I mean, it's plenty of sight distance, and there's no need for a commercial entrance there.
Okay, so you think it already meets the standards in Appendix F of the VDOT road design?
Right, I mean, the commercial entrance really is just to get two cars in and out, and you can definitely do that, so.
Definitely do that.
And the biggest thing about this site is it has, you have well over 300 feet in either direction of sight distance.
Yeah, relatively straight. Can you pull up the,
So what am I reading here where it says the existing entrance will have to be upgraded to current VDOT standards?
Well, that's why I called. I mean, I think it's just sort of a sort of a form letter. I think he just, 'cause I told him, we don't, we don't do a site plan for this. We don't need, no need for a site plan, but there is no, I mean, commercial entrances usually just, you have maybe shoulders and you have a width where you can get two cars in and out. So I don't think it's anything that we really need to put any, really, there's anything that has to be changed.
So then for now on, we're just not going to read what it says.
If it doesn't make any sense.
If it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
we're just gonna-
I don't think you need to, I don't think it's something to be concerned with.
So, well, what does Appendix F deal with? Is it a
It's just that
low-volume
their
commercial?
design, entrance design,
All right, so they're not saying this is a high-volume commercial entrance or anything like that?
No.
It's just- And I agree, they do always have that first sentence there.
yeah, I mean, they put it on every one. And I know they're busy, and this is, this is a relatively small proposal, but
Any other questions for Lee? Does anyone have a question to address to the applicant, or would the applicant like to address us, Ligon, or do you think that they just?
Is it Mr. Vieira?
yeah,
What's that? Mr. Vieira? Hayden Wright, County Attorney. Are these the conditions, the proffers that you made, this is coming from you as part of this application? And I'm not trying to embarrass you. Is English a second language? I'm just making sure you understand my question. And are you Ms. Ramos? Okay. And I'm guessing you're the one that signed the application as is it administratrix of the estate? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question for Ligon? All right, and in that case, is there any public comment on this case? No public comment? Any further discussion from the members of the planning? Okay. As Clay says, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we deny case number RZ-09-23-16.
Okay, the motion has been made to recommend denial of case number RZ-09-23-16. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. I guess we probably better do a show of hands. All in favor of recommending against this case?
Before we vote,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman, I would just like to say that, if Mr. Taylor was still living, guess what? We'd still have a shop running there and wouldn't be able to have all the say of what we could or couldn't do. But anyway, it's neither here nor there.
Okay, any other comment? All right, those in favor of recommending against the approval of this case, raise your right hand. 2, all opposed? Okay, so that motion has been rejected.
What's wrong?
Yes, sir.
What is,
Motion having failed, is there any other motion on this case? You need to make some kind of motion.
I recommend,
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we recommend this to the Board of Supervisors for approval.
second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Again, let's do a show of hands. All those in favor of recommending this case for approval, raise your right hand. Okay, those opposed? All right, so it looks like 4-2. So this case, case number RZ-09-23-16 will be recommended for approval to the Board of Supervisors. Okay, thank you. Case number S-09-23-17 has been tabled by the applicant. Are there any other items from the Planning Commission or the public? Okay, I think we do have one item from the Board of Supervisors. Before we adjourn?
Yeah, if y'all don't mind and will indulge me for just a second. The question has been brought up about us, utilizing the ordinances. Are we utilizing the ordinances on the books or trying to figure out ways around those ordinances, to appease the people we work for? Both the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors, we govern based on the ordinances that are on our books. The caveat that goes with that is we should be working for the people of Madison. The Board of Supervisors at this point has taken multiple actions, requesting the Planning Commission to review and study different ordinances. Y'all have done it well and diligently. Plan on continuing to use that as we see things kind of evolve with time. The other side is the Planning Commission looks at their own ordinances, or at all of our ordinances, and y'all review them all the time. I mean, I've ever since he was there, unfortunately, y'all have been diligently going through ordinances and trying to keep them up with today's day and age. We do have to follow the ordinances and what is written on the books. That's why we got Hannon to keep us straight. At this point, though, I mean, we do need to revise, and I think it's been brought up which way we are going. I think the ordinances, it's clear. That's the one direction we have. Anybody got any questions or comments or thoughts on this? We should be working for the people we serve. In the same sense, we've got to follow what we've put on the books.
Yeah. I'll just say, I think since I've been here, we have been pretty open. I said we as Planning Commission and Board has been pretty open-minded to amending things, whether things need to be cleaned up or changed or don't make any sense. And we've actually gone through a lot. But I'm always a big advocate, and I've always said that, you know, when it comes to any ordinance, there's a lot of variety in how counties and different municipalities interpret things or even do things. Always point out, you don't even have to have a zoning ordinance or subdivision ordinance. I don't think it's a good policy. But I guess in the final result is we control the ordinances. Ultimately, what's in them, they don't necessarily control us. So if there's something that you see or you think that could be changed, then I think we have a pretty good track record of being open-minded to it. And overall, I think we've got a pretty logical, good ordinance that's been updated some in the last few years, and so I think it works pretty well. For someone who works with it day in, day out. Had them lined up today coming in. I was out for a couple of days, so, people coming in with different questions. So that's just my take.
What you got, Faye? You look like you're trigger ready.
Yes, just as having lived here close to 50 years now, and age on me that gives me at least the ability to speak, maybe. We are not the same county, and as we were 50 years ago, or even 25 years ago. We're not, because of changes, because of people moving in, because of a ton of things that have changed. And if we weren't adapting to the changes and the needs of our citizens that come in, including our new folks, and taking care also, I'm very much an advocate of those folks who came here in 1700s. who still own land, the families do, and you all know who I'm talking about, the Jemana settlement and all that. That historical perspective is very important too. But we have new people. We have to keep up. Having gone to Charlottesville today, in the middle of all that, we do not want to be like some of our neighbors as far as the number of housetops, rooftops, the number. I mean, we need living and all that, but I'm going to tell you what, all I could think of was how crowded those schools are going to be in the next year with that land that's cleared what I understand is going in down there and to the north of us too. So, I think looking at what we have, trying to preserve what we want to have is just very important, and we can do this. But we have to be smart about it. And I'm glad that the Planning Commission at least is not just being reactive. The first few years, we were reactive, and that's all I ever saw. And during my certification, we were remember who you are, you're planning. Planning is not just reacting to problems. Planning is also looking ahead, looking at what might be coming when you have, and that's what I feel like we do sometimes. So I'm very pleased that and if we bring a suggestion in from committees or whatever, then we'll talk about whether it's appropriate or not. Might not be appropriate today, might see the need for it in 5 years or 2 years. So our land is changing, our owners are changing, everything is changing. We need to keep up with it and make sure we keep control. I do believe in that. We need to have the control. Thank you.
Please. Well, absolutely, please. I apologize.
And I may have missed this point, but again, why are we looking at rezoning versus special use permit? What's the rationale?
And this last one?
Yes.
Because of the 3 acres per use.
The other one, and I paid attention to Mr. Camden's and Mrs. Ward's application. We just adjusted the rate on the rezoning. Nobody, I don't want to say the word spot zoning because that'll open up a whole nother door. But I think that we've had a lot of businesses for years that we've used special use permits to work around. Some of these, like this building that we're just about to go down the path on the second case, it's been a business forever. It should be a business. This shop, I know, I mentioned to you while the Planning Commission was deliberating about Mrs. Ramos's shop. Hell, it's Randall Donovan's old shop. It has existed there for 50 years. Rezoning's just kind of getting it, kind of gets us away from doing special use permits that we seem to do every week, every month of the year, all the time. That's at least the way I look at it. Anybody else have anything to say on this?
I would just like to say thank you, Mr. Chairman, for addressing that. Feel a lot more confident about where we need to head.
So I'm understanding correctly, we're more ordinance driven.
We should be.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Got anything down here?
No.
Everybody good? Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
All right, any other items on the Planning Commission? If not, can I hear a motion for adjournment? Motion is made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Hadn't been for Randall Donovan when we first.
Y'all sneak one last tournament run in?
I did. I wanted to. Last one of the summer.
Did Lucky pull in the winning catch?
He did contribute.
Okay, well, that's all that matters.
We had about 9 pounds at 9:20, turned it in 9:30. Might have to leave. We called 4, 1 dunk, scored everything we had out. The last one hit the net, I threw it in there, chunked one of the little ones back. I hit the beat.
I'll probably-
At 9:30, I hit the buoys at 9:30 and 50 seconds. And every minute your legs are pain.
James, I wanted to
Cut
show you
close.
real quick. So I told you about the fish hatchery my uncle owns right in Davidville. So this is like in the bottom of the building. It starts as eggs from the babies.
Then they go down a little
They
bit.
go down the runways. And then you get bigger and there's a pond there.
That's cool.
That's that building
How
that
does he
does
sell
pride and joy. That's his pond. Has bluegill and bass and stuff.
Don't let nobody else touch it.
Nope, except for us. And then this one, you know, has trout and stuff in it.
All right. I'd like to call the Board of Supervisors portion of the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. We are missing Ms. Hoffman. She'll be back promptly. We do need to adopt an agenda, and we do have a closed session this evening. What would you all like to do with the agenda? Anybody have anything we need to add?
No, sir. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. As always, generalized public comment. Anyone have any generalized public comment? All right, back to us. Let's do some cases. Case number S-09-23-14. Mr. Marvin Jenkins and Mr. Andrew Gayhart have submitted a subdivision application to subdivide a 10.6 acre A1 zone parcel. The by right subdivision would create 2 new parcels and 1 residue parcel. The 2 new parcels would both contain 3.7 acres, and the 1 residue parcel would contain 3.2 acres. In June of 2023, the parcel subject to the subdivision recorded a boundary line adjustment, a BLA, with an adjoining parcel identified on Madison County tax map as 42-12A. This BLA expanded tax map 42-12A and moved it to the east, where it now also adjoins tax map 43-3. The subject 10.6 acre parcel is located on Leon Road, Route 631, and is identified on Madison County tax maps as 42-12. An existing dwelling to be demolished is located on the parcel, has a postal address of 375 Leon Road, Culpeper, Virginia 22701. Before we proceed to Ligon and everyone, just for clarity's sake, they've changed as recommended by the Planning Commission, they've changed the subdivisions of this property. You have 3 new lots, and then 1 residue lot. You have 2 that are 3 acres, 1 that's 3.6 acres, and a residue lot that's 3 acres. So it is not as depicted in the packet. Everybody good on that part? Ligon, what else do you have to add on this?
Not really anything else. I mean, they want to make the change as recommended by the Plan Commission for clarity. I mean, I think it's still reads that, but that's a fine position to have. It would be a simple change, but I think either way, when Brian assigns the tax map number, he's going to call parcel 4, he's going to call it 42-12A, and it's going to be taxed at 3 acres, and this will be recorded. And I follow it, but again, that's my opinion.
Questions for Ligon? All right, to the applicant. Mr. Jenkins, anything to add? Any questions for the applicant?
No, sir.
Back to the board, or to the public, excuse me, to the public. Back to the board. What would you all like to do?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number S-09-23-14 as recommended by the Planning Commission.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Don't. Case number RZ-09-23-15, Building Together LLC, William Camden and Jerry Ward has applied to rezone a 2.2 acre parcel from A1 agriculture to B1 general business. The subject parcel contains 2 existing structures, a single-family dwelling containing 1,584 square feet of interior floor area and a 2-story commercial structure containing roughly 1,936 square feet of interior floor space. Historically, the subject 2.2 acre parcels structures have been utilized for business and commercial purposes. And if rezoned, the applicants intend to utilize the existing structures for by right business uses, specifically retail and/or professional offices. The subject property contains 2 postal address points, 6279 and 62767, South Seminole Trail, Rochelle, Virginia, and the parcel is identified on Madison County tax map as 55-35B. With this application, there are 6 proffers that the applicant has submitted. And there is the portion about the changing of the entrance. Ligon, anything to add?
No, I think we have everything covered here. Again, it was used as a retail establishment for quite a while, I believe. I think that little area, we got kind of a lot of things going on right there. Does have the turn lane. I really just think the engineer probably just recommend just moving the entrance down into that turn lane. Have to get a VDOT permit and land disturbance permit for the entrance, but I think that'll be probably a pretty easy solution.
Questions for Ligon on this case? Anyone? To the applicants, anything to add? All right. To the public. To the public. Back to the board. What would you all like to do here?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of case number RZ-09-23-15 as presented with the 6 additional proffers.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion?
Yeah,
Please.
Mr. Chairman, Jim, could we add that as those conditions are recommended by the applicant, just for the record?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Can you amend your second as well?
I'll amend that.
Yes.
Second
All right,
amendment.
we got the motion and the second amended. Good point, absolutely. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Case number RZ-09-23-16, Mr. Angel Vieira has applied to rezone a roughly 1.4 acre portion of a 4.4 acre parcel from A1 agriculture to B1 business with conditions. The applicant is seeking to operate an automotive repair shop from an existing garage structure located on the parcel. Historically, the parcel's existing garage structure has been utilized as an automotive repair shop. The subject parcel contains 2 postal address points, with the existing garage addressed as 3108 Shelby Road and the parcel's existing single-family dwelling address as 3090 Shelby Road. The subject parcel is also identified on Madison County Tax Map as 55-16. We have 5 rezoning conditions that the applicant has put forward. Ligon, anything to add?
I think Pete Elliott said a lot better than I did. I agree with that wholeheartedly, that, you know, it's in there. I think we have conditions. They're going to bring the building up, the code, which they already had the engineer. It's a few things need to be done. It's going to have a bathroom. You know, I think they'll be good neighbors and keep the lot clean and orderly. But if we don't, we've got these conditions here. You know, we don't want to do that, but we always have that ability, which we did not have before.
And just for clarity purposes, the conditions go with the land, not the applicant.
That's right. It would go with the land.
Questions for Ligon on this case specifically? Anyone? To the applicant. Mr. Vieira, Ms. Ramos, anything to add? All right. To the public. To the public. Is anybody watching us? Ah, good. Business oriented, that's the way it is. She's not adding anything, is she? All right. Back to the board. What would y'all like to do here?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case number RZ-09-23-16 to include the conditions as recommended by the applicant.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Anybody have any information and correspondence? All right, now we're gonna do it again. Public comment. Public comment. And not gaining a whole lot back there, Kim. That's a bummer. All right, we do have a closed session. Thank you all for coming.
So I move that the board convene in a closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Sections 2.2-3711A1 for personnel and 2.2-3711